Welcome to RPTV News. I'm your host, Nicholas Ramsubik, and today's guest is Philip Unruh from Central Neighborhood House. And we're going to be talking about the Syrian refugee crisis and how Central Neighborhood House is helping Syrian families. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Pleasure to be here.
So can we talk about how the Syrian refugee crisis is connected to Regent Park?
Sure, absolutely. So again, it's not too different from the kinds of, or the populations we were serving 105 years ago. So it's people who were coming to this country, coming to this city, fleeing persecution, looking for a better life for themselves and their families. And we anticipate that very many of them will settle within Regent Park, the ones coming to Toronto, or close to it, because within this community and the area that Central Neighborhood House serves, there are three really high needs communities. There's St. Jamestown to the north of us, and Regent Park right here, of course, and then to the south of us is Moss Park. So one thing in common there is that very many tenants there, residents there, they're new to Canada, they're immigrants or refugees. Right? And so very well positioned to provide those supports to new Canadians.
Okay, so what is Central Neighborhood House doing to help Syrian families?
Well, our intent was that we would raise, primarily amongst our own staff and a small fundraising group, we would raise $40,000 to support a small family, maybe a family of 5. And you know, this was our intent going back to last summer. And we had this discussion, we decided we would do this, we committed to it. And it was around September, I believe, when a lot of media attention started to be paid to the crisis. And it was the image of that poor little 3-year-old washing up on the beach in Turkey. And that really helped to mobilize the world, I think, and really shone a very bright spotlight and put a focus on that, the crisis. So, a huge outpouring of support from the community. We surpassed our $40,000 goal very, very quickly. And to date, we've currently raised just over $157,000. And that was with very little effort on our part. It was mostly because of the generosity of the community of Toronto, you know, the larger community and immediately surrounding Central Neighborhood House. So we're absolutely delighted with that outpouring of support, and we've increased our goal of sponsoring 1 family. We're now going to sponsor 3 and maybe even 4.
Okay, that's amazing. And why did Central Neighborhood House decide to take on the responsibility of sponsoring or helping a Syrian family?
Great question, Nicholas. So we're very well positioned and we have a lot of those supports already in place. So the kinds of supports we're talking about is assisting with English language, you know, support for children and youth. We provide daycare services, we provide after-school kids club, we provide summer camp. We have a women's program that we provide in 8 different languages for the community members within our immediate community. We have pre-employment and employment services. We do an English conversation circle. We provide some medical supports. We have some housing. So all of those areas are what new Canadians need to get a bit of a hand up.
And what's the process like with sponsoring a family?
Well, we're working with a very fine organization called Lifeline Syria. I believe that they have a limited amount of government sponsorship, but that they are again privately sponsored. That's where their funding source came from, and they've been instrumental in assisting us. So we've partnered with them. They're the liaison with the Canadian government, Citizen and Immigration Canada, and they've helped steer us through the process of putting all the paperwork in place. We need to commit to have a certain amount of money and all of those supports in place, including housing and translation and the English language piece, as I said, having schooling in place. So they've helped us to steer through that bureaucracy of paperwork. and they're matching us up with the families. We found out about a month or so ago that our first family we've been matched up with was a family of 9. We were just thrilled and delighted, so we already have housing for that family. And just this past week, we were informed that we've now been matched up with another 2 families. One is a family of 4, and the other is a family of 7. Wow, and yeah, we're absolutely delighted, and we're so excited. So it's getting close. We won't have a lot of time before we find out when they'll be arriving, but at least a few days. So we already have most of those supports already in place, and that's through the generosity and the support of volunteers and community members who are helping us out with that.
And do you know where these families are coming from? Are they in camps in Syria? Are they in? I know a lot of Syrian refugees had to go to Turkey to.
You're absolutely right. So our first family, they've been in a refugee camp in Jordan for the last 2+ years. Okay. One family is coming from Algiers, and the other family, I believe, is in Lebanon. Okay. Okay. But again, that's yet to be confirmed. All of the details are very, very sketchy as to what we're provided. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of concrete information. As soon as they find out, Lifeline Syria, they'll pass that information on to us.
And once these families come to Toronto to live, what is Central Neighborhood's responsibilities as a sponsee for these families?
Well, we commit to providing all the supports for up to a year. Okay. Okay, and that again, that includes helping them with English language, with pre-employment and employment training, assisting them there, making certain that the kids are enrolled in school, teaching them about the Canadian banking system, doing some financial literacy with them, helping them with the budget. And so again, our commitment is for 1 year for each one of these families from the time they arrive.
That's great. Sounds like Central Neighborhood House is doing great work in the Toronto community and globally. Thank you, Philip, for coming in to talk about Central Neighborhood House. This has been RPTV News. I'm your host, Nicholas Ramsubik. Thank you for watching.